Right, good morning guys. So it is now February the 7th, 2021. I've cracked 10,000 kilometers on my 2016 Nissan LEAF SV, and it's been a machine. I mean, I took delivery of it on 27th of August last year, so we're just shy of, what is it, about 6 months, just over 6 months, just October, November, December, January, yeah, it's just over 5 months, sorry. And yeah, 10,000 kilometers, zero emissions was the reason behind this video. So to my right, I've got my notes here so I don't yammer on for a whole bunch of time. So if you see me look to the right here, it's just because my notes. So I have one confession. I am a sort of, let's call it a self-proclaimed petrol head. I mean, I've loved cars as soon as single digits. I've always loved cars. I mean, I had a pack of cars that I would haul out on the weekend. You'd drive up and down, also in the sand, when we go to the beach and that sort of thing. I've always loved cars, and obviously getting older, getting to drive them, learning more about actual vehicles and engines, that sort of thing, is just something that excites me, but calms me at the same time, if I could say it like that. One car that I fell absolutely head over heels in love with was the Subaru WRX STI. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was probably about a 2004 model. One of the radio presenters brought it down to a little festival we were holding in a small town in South Africa, and I think that was just when I fell absolutely head over heels in love with this vehicle. So in saying that I'm a petrol head, I follow cars and car news and that a lot. And coming from a town in South Africa, we would hear about electric vehicles, but it was something of the future. It was nothing that was never there. I mean, I'm in Canada now just under 2 years. So prior to me coming to Canada, I thought electric vehicles don't exist. There was no such things. They were still working on it. And I've heard about Elon Musk and Tesla. And we had a Nissan LEAF for the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa, but it never came to market and that sort of thing. So there was things of the future. So 2 years ago, I was none the wiser to thinking electric vehicles existed. Come to land at YVR in Vancouver, Canada, and there's this fleet of Teslas outside. I was absolutely amazed. Fast forward a year and a half later, here I am buying my own EV, something I didn't even know existed a year and a half prior. So yeah, so that's my little confession for today. So 10,000 kilometers later, I've learned a lot about my 2016 Nissan LEAF. I recently bought leaf spy and a dongle in that. And I've ran it the other day and we were looking at 87% state of health, which was pretty good. There's a whole bunch of graphs and that in there I'm not quite sure on at the moment, which we'll have to do some more research to understand better the cells and that sort of thing. But it's going well. I mean, I'm loving my vehicle. Next week will be sort of the peak of winter. We've got a polar vortex coming in and we're having highs of about -10, dropping down to -21. So I'm curious to see how the car handles in that. But saying that, over the past week, I've now been getting an extra 10% of range in my vehicle, which is fine. I've changed nothing. Well, I've made like minor changes. So I always have the vehicle on sort of the bottom vent with the front sort of mister going, but not running the demister itself. Just having the vents open so the windows don't fog up. And then keeping the car at 22 degrees. And so I would drive 40 kilometers to work, 40 kilometers back. Obviously going to work is a very lot of steep uphill, so I would use a lot more power going to work. I would use 40% going to the office, so I get there about 60-61% of range. And then coming back home, it's more downhill. Obviously now in winter I'm not regenerating as much, so we get home with about 30-31%. So I'd use 30% going downhill, if you would call it. So now I've started changing my schedules. So I look at the car quite closely when I get home in the evening, and it's if the car says I've got 3.5 hours of charge to charge up to 100%, then I would charge it for 3 hours and 15 minutes, not to get it to 100% so it stands overnight. And then I would set the extra 15 to 20 minutes to charge just before I get into the vehicle, because I get into the car and get ready to go at 7:30. So I've set the climate control for 7:30 and the car charges just after 7 o'clock. So that's another thing, setting the climate control as well, I think, which has helped because now the car's warm, the batteries are warm, and then that I'm ready to go for the day. So that helps now as well, and I don't have to use a lot of the car battery power driving to work, so it has to heat up and that sort of thing. So now instead of getting home with 31%, I'm now getting home with 40%, which is great. So it's about an extra 10% now. In the peak of winter, it's been -1, -2 pretty much every day. From previously where it was like 1, 2, 3 degrees, but I was getting home with like 31%. So that's that little tip for today, is when you charge your vehicle, and also in the colder times, use the climate control, preheat your vehicle when you get into the vehicle. I mean, why not? So obviously bought my car towards the end of the summer. I haven't had much summer experience, but when I bought it, so I would drive to work, which is about 40% or 40 kilometers, and then driving back home, I would charge more than when I left, which was great. Obviously now, as it started cooling, that wasn't the case, and I would use power coming back home. So I haven't tested much in summer, but I mean, the car handled well, and I could regen a lot, which I was absolutely being a brand new EV driver. It boggled my mind and blew my mind, which was pretty interesting. Coming into winter, I thought I would have to park the car and read in reviews 20, 30, 40, 50% of loss of range. I was stressing because, like I said, I've got quite a steep incline to work, and I need as much power, all the power that I can get out of this little car as possible. I've got a 30 kilowatt battery, so I need to really make use of all the power that's available to me. So as of yet, I haven't had to park the car, take the bus, or use our gas-powered vehicle, which has been great. Obviously next week we'll see what happens. Coming down to tires, when I bought my car, we had all seasons on the car. I mean, the car came out from California, so I still got the Californian tires on. There are all seasons, and then obviously where we stay, it's mandatory for us to get winter tires. So I bought myself a pair of winter tires. They were 88 out of 100 rated. I know I should have got something a little bit better, not studded. And they were low rolling noise. So low rolling noise meant to me is that I could get a little bit more efficiency. Like before winter started, I was scared that I wasn't going to make it. So I sort of gave my car everything for me to make it through winter. And the car's been handling well. The tires aren't the best, but they get through. I mean, driving in house, I can drive through snow, which is amazing. So I'm super happy. So the tires that have been handling well. I mean, we have some extremely quick, steep inclines, sort of going what you call switchbacks, hairpin bends, and the car's been handling well. I mean, I can overtake majority of the vehicles out there when they're still grabbing for gears and that sort of thing, and trying to find revs, find power. I mean, I just push the accelerator and go, which is pretty cool. So, and in my general day-to-day driving, I mean, I'm loving the car. It's quiet. It's quite a spacious vehicle, my Nissan LEAF. The trunk is amazing. I have yet to pack it full of groceries. I mean, we did a grocery shop. That was a couple of months ago. Went down to sort of the town, about 9 kilometers away, and I did a big grocery shop there. Just filled the bin, but because it doesn't even sort of pack as high as the back windows, which is amazing because the Nissan LEAF trunk is just so deep, which is awesome. I mean, now at the moment I put my skis and all my gear inside there at the moment, which is great. So it holds quite a bit. General driving day to day, it's amazing. I've discovered the heated mirrors, which is awesome. It helps a lot now in the freezing mornings. And just the driving around, it's quiet. It's such a nimble little car to drive. I really enjoy driving it. I mean, I love V8 and the rumble and the grumbles and the revving of engines and that sort of thing. But having this quiet, peaceful, placid little vehicle has been pretty cool. I've actually quite enjoyed it. And also just throwing it in, you can get into parking bays and out of parking bays, and it's really nice. I mean, I was driving our Hyundai Kona the other day, and it's a great vehicle. So we've got the all-wheel drive version, but to me, it just climbing out of my LEAF into the Kona, it just felt like a solid car, but heavy, a very heavy car to drive. So yeah, the range on the vehicle, I can't say I'm getting 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers out of it. I don't know. I would say if I had to drive it to empty, let's say 130, 140 kilometers, that I could probably push out of the vehicle. I don't try and push it as much, obviously, because here between towns there's 30 kilometers where there is nothing and no one, so I try not to push it as far as possible. I did on one trip from, like I said, when I did the grocery shop, coming back home, I got home with about 20% of charge. That there was just pushing it, but there was obviously some big uphills which killed the vehicle now in winter. So yeah, like I said, one thing we need to keep in mind with electric vehicles is hills. What I've noticed on my Leaf, and I can't speak for like the Kona EV and the sort of the Teslas and that sort of thing, but specifically to my Leaf and my vehicle, I notice on uphills it does use a lot of power. Looking at sort of a lot of YouTube videos and that, I've noticed like Teslas, they'll say you have a range of 200 and they would put their destinations in and say, okay, well, you get an estimated range of 190. So they do sort of factor in the hills, I suppose, and they do compensate for that, which is great. But yeah, one thing I've noticed is just using a lot of power. But then going down hills, you regen quite a bit. If you sort of manage to warm your batteries up quite a bit, even now in winter, I can gain a bit of range. There's like a very long steep section where I get about an extra 5% on my battery, about 10-15 kilometers, which is great of range. One thing I must say is I've stopped using range on my vehicle, looking at range. So climbing the car, I've got 200 kilometers of range, but meanwhile, I've only have about 100. So I focus really on battery percentage. That gives me more of a guesstimate. I know sort of where my journey, I should be at 81%, I know I'm on top of the hill. When I hit 71%, I know I'm outside a big community. I know when I get to work, I'm at 61%. I know when on my return home where I'm at 55%, where I'm 45%. So I can use that to gauge on my day-to-day driving. Like I said, the space of the vehicle is fantastic. I love it. The back seats are great. I obviously haven't sat in them, but you could probably fit 4 adults in there quite comfortably. And I'm hoping to, in the summertime, sort of transport more people in the vehicle, and we'll see how it goes. So charging costs to date, I mean, the car's been pretty good. Obviously here I stay in a strata, in an apartment building, so I plug the vehicle in. With our building specifically, the hydro or the electricity charges are built into our strata fees, or our levies, or what you want to call it. So I don't necessarily pay for electricity in my car. I will maybe do a cost breakdown in a second video of what it should be or what I have charged at based on the 10,000 kilometer range that I've done. But at the moment I've done 3 quick charges of $12, and then I did I think it was a level 2 charge on one of the trips, which cost me an extra $2. So let's say I spent $40 over the past 10,000 kilometers. $40 to do 10,000 kilometers on a vehicle, which is phenomenal. Prior to this, I know we were spending about $150 per month to fuel the gas-powered vehicle, and then we're doing about, I can't say, but it was quite a bit of distance, probably about 20,000 kilometers, probably about the same as I was doing. So 150 times 6, that's $900. So about $1,000 every 6 months. It's crazy, from $1,000 to $40, $960 saving. I mean, it's incomprehensible. Although EVs are more expensive, you save more. Coming down to maintenance, I've been researching a lot on Tesla. I'm very keen to buy a Tesla. It might not be at the moment, it might be in the next year or two, but I'm certainly looking into it. So I was researching maintenance cost of Teslas, and what I could see is that they only be serviced once every 2 years to do like a cabin filter and do the checkups and regular vehicle checkups and that sort of thing. Obviously where we stay in Canada, it's more of a harsher climate, so they say do about every 12,000 kilometers, so at least once a year, check the brake lines and that sort of thing, because of the colder temperatures and the variations in temperatures. I mean, next week it's minus 20, then summers it goes up to 30 degrees. I mean, that's a 50 Celsius degree change in temperature. So that's one of the things. So coming back down to cost, I've spent, what did I say, it's $40 in charges. I spent $130 to put winter tires in my car. I spent $13 on a rear wiper, and obviously washer fluid, which I bought. So that's pretty much it. So let's say I spent $200 in 6 months for a vehicle. which is crazy, despite obviously the insurance and our finance the vehicle. So overall, am I happy with my Nissan LEAF? Absolutely. It's quite a great vehicle. Coming out of being a petrol head, coming out of driving the Hyundais and VWs, which I absolutely love, jumping into an EV, I'm really happy. Like I said, I'm sold EV for life. My next vehicle will probably be a Tesla, depending on what this next year holds. I mean, there's so many more excitements and developments, and makers. VW brought out the ID3, the ID4, which is launching here soon in Canada. The rumors of the Apple car, and there's just so many more cars coming to market. I would prefer an all-wheel drive vehicle, just because where we stay, the snow and the ice and that sort of thing. So I'm holding out to see. And then also, is Tesla going to bring out the $25,000 US dollar vehicle? We don't know. They say timelines have been brought forward, but this is all rumor and speculation at the moment. So I think 2021 is the year for EVs. It's going to be the tipping point, and we'll see where we are. So that's it for today. 10,000 kilometers, zero emission kilometers, and my Nissan LEAF. I'm super excited. Thanks guys, ciao.